NBA rumors. Warriors, quote, preparing for years to target Giannis Antetokounmpo. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the rumors that Giannis Antetokounmpo could be potentially joining the Golden State Warriors within the next year and a half. And to be completely clear here, this is a Bleacher Report article that was simply a rumor that I don't think in any way can be factual. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy the NBA and these kinds of videos, then consider subscribing. I upload basically every single day. Okay, so really quickly, let's start with what this article says. It says the Golden State Warriors have reportedly been preparing for years to target Giannis Antetokounmpo via trade or free agency, and the San Francisco Chronicle reported that the delayed 2019-20 season or the potential cancellation of the season could help them do that, because apparently one of the very few reasons that Giannis would potentially leave Milwaukee via free agency or otherwise is because he would lose confidence in the team's ability to win championships, and ultimately that is what he wants to do. So not having an opportunity to win a championship this season, in which they were one of the favorites to win it all, at least in my opinion, takes away one of those opportunities for the Bucks to prove to Giannis that yes, they can in fact win championships and he can win titles while staying with the Bucks. It then goes on to talk about the assets that the Warriors have accumulated, most specifically the Timberwolves' extra first-round pick next season, and then it gets to the part that can in no way be true, in my opinion. It says Antetokounmpo is under contract with Milwaukee through the 2020-21 season, but if he doesn't sign a long-term extension during the offseason, the team may be forced to explore trade options to avoid the potential of losing him to the open market in 2021. And this is the huge flaw in this argument and in this rumor. Is it possible that Giannis Antetokounmpo joins the Golden State Warriors or any other team via free agency in the summer of 2021? It is possible. At this point, I still don't believe it to be likely, and we'll talk about some of those things later in the video. But for Giannis to be moved to a different team prior to the summer of 2021 via trade has a 0% chance of happening, at least in my opinion. On the surface, maybe it seems like it would make sense, right? We've seen situations like this in the past where players that a team knows are going to opt out of their deal or they're going to leave in the summer of whatever, they trade them away a year in advance, right? Because they don't want to lose them without any kind of compensation. That logic makes sense. The place where that never happens, though, is for MVP level players, right? When LeBron is about to leave the Heat or the Cavaliers, they don't think about trading him a year in advance of his free agency. You try and convince him to stay. Same thing with Kevin Durant, and same thing with Giannis Antetokounmpo here. There is a 0% possibility that the Bucks would ever trade Giannis before the summer of 2021. Unless he comes out and publicly says, I'm 100% leaving. Then that's the only way you make the trade. That's what happened with Anthony Davis. He is at times an MVP caliber player that was traded in advance of his free agency because he explicitly told the team, I'm not going to come back, so go ahead and move me. But other than that scenario, it's just not going to happen. One, because it doesn't make any sense, because the possibility of retaining Giannis is too great of an opportunity to pass up in exchange for trading him away. But also, can you imagine the backlash from the fan base of trading away, a young, unique MVP caliber player? There's just no chance they do this. Now, as it relates to the Warriors specifically, when you then go with that mindset and you say, okay, they're not going to get Giannis via trade, Giannis isn't going to be playing for the Warriors then, because they're not going to have the cap space in the summer of 2021. And so there's no way that the Warriors get Giannis. I understand the mindset of being like, oh, they could get him. They got Kevin Durant. The Kevin Durant thing was a once in 100-year salary cap fluke that if the league had foreseen the effects it was going to have overall, they never would have allowed the cap to spike that much in the summer of 2016 that allowed the Warriors to sign Kevin Durant. They would have smoothed it out and it never would have happened. That's not going to happen here. Giannis isn't joining the Warriors, okay? Now, in terms of his free agency at this point, I do think it's at least a semi-interesting point that is made in the article that the potential cancellation of the rest of this season does negatively impact the Bucks' ability to re-sign Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it has everything to do with timing. As it mentions, really the only thing that's going to push Giannis away is thinking, am I not going to win championships here? Am I better off in a different environment on a different team that is better at putting players around me in which I can potentially win a championship? Because when you look at their team moving forward, they've got a couple of younger players that could develop, guys like Dante DiVincenzo. They've got a nice running mate for Giannis in Chris Middleton, but they're pretty locked into what they're doing financially, salary cap wise moving forward. And so it's all going to be on Giannis's improvement as well as their ability to continue to come together as a team in terms of making making them a championship contender. And if those things don't come together, it's not unlikely that Giannis looks at the situation and thinks, maybe I'm better off elsewhere long term when it comes to potentially chasing a title. And so that could mean he could leave, or that could mean he just signs like a 1-on-1 deal or a 2+1 deal. And the reason that the timing of this is important is, again, if there's no championship possibility this season, this offseason is when the Bucks can offer Giannis a new Supermax deal that would, under the old salary cap rules, we don't know what the potential suspension of the league and everything is going to do to the salary cap, but under the old rules, it would have been worth $250 million over 5 years. So that was a very obviously enticing thing for Giannis. But if he doesn't sign that initially, then the questions start to pop up, right? He can put all this stuff to rest and just sign the Supermax this offseason. That's when the Warriors can offer it. But if he doesn't, things are kind of up in the air. And this season, as I've talked about in previous videos about Giannis's free agency and the Bucks in general, this was a big deal for them, this opportunity to win a championship this season, because I felt like if they won the title this year, there's almost a 0% chance that Giannis wins a title with Milwaukee, gets offered $250 million over 5 years, and says, no, I'm going to go somewhere else. If they'd won the title this year, they guarantee Giannis on their team for the next 5 years, and they are one of the powers in the league as long as Giannis stays healthy for the next 5 seasons at minimum. But with the league being potentially suspended, the season potentially being over, that changes a lot of things for them, and it probably negatively impacts them as a team more than any other team in the entire league if they don't finish the season. Now, at this point, I have no idea if they're actually going to finish this season or not, but that is at least a semi-good point made here in this article. Now, as it relates to the Warriors part of this article, it does do a good job of pointing out how they could potentially trade for a star, and this is a storyline that we have looked at for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now. For as long as we've known that the Warriors were not going to be very good this season, they're going to have this high pick, and then they added on to it the Timberwolves pick in 2021. You could make an argument that they have one of the better trade packages out there for someone that becomes available, whether it's Karl-Anthony Towns or Devin Booker or Bradley Beal. I'm just throwing names out there, not necessarily people that are likely, to join the Warriors. But they've done a great job of accumulating assets and putting themselves in a position, although they don't have the salary cap space to sign any big free agents, they put themselves in a position to trade for another player to kind of extend this era. Because I think it's pretty clear at this point that unless Andrew Wiggins makes some huge leap, this current Warriors core has like 2 more years probably of being really, really good with just Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And if they don't add another piece, and again, Andrew Wiggins doesn't become anything crazy or special, then it's going to be a little bit tougher moving forward for them to really, sustain this level of excellence that they've had for the last couple of years with, obviously with the exception of this past season. So they're kind of looking for their Kawhi Leonard, right? Like, it's not in the same category in terms of Steph and Clay and these guys being as advanced in age as Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, but really that's what they're looking for. They're looking for their Kawhi Leonard to extend this era so that Steph and Clay and Draymond don't have to take on as much responsibility as they have. They have this new guy, and maybe it's a draft pick. Maybe they just keep both picks. They have a couple of young guys, and they keep that era moving forward that way, or they make a big trade. But at the end of the day, all I can tell you is it's not going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're not going to trade for him, and they're not going to bring him in via any kind of salary cap space because it's non-existent for them. So at the end of the day, I felt like it was important to talk about this, to clear up these rumors, because I know that some people will read this and think, oh yeah, they could trade for him before the summer of 2021. The Milwaukee Bucks are not trading Giannis. So if that's something you have your hopes up for, go ahead and forget about it now. It doesn't happen for MVP level players. Unless they come out and say, I don't want to be here anymore, they're going to hang on tooth and nail all the way till the end, up until the last day of potential free agency for these guys, and hope that they can do enough to convince them to come back. And that's kind of where I think Giannis is at right now. And yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys want me to do, a few more of these once there's more news coming out and stuff like that, where I talk specifically about an article rather than just a handful of rumors. See if, just let me know if you like that formatting a little bit better or not. But yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video, my name is Tucker. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys are staying safe through everything going on, and hopefully the NBA will be back relatively soon, but obviously the primary goal is that everybody is staying safe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.